Hello, everyone, and welcome to DroneNation episode 10. And I'm joined by my regular co-host, Marcus Crawford, tonight. And we have, sorry, hold on, folks. I didn't mute the sound someplace else here. We will take care of that right now. There we go, folks. Sorry for that. We got I want to say we got a big show tonight. We got a good show tonight. We got Al Duran joins us in a few minutes. He's going to talk about a recent video where his Skydio 2 took a little dip in the James River, but it's a nice ending to the story, though. So you'll definitely want to get Al's full story on what went on with the Skydio, how to prevent it, and how Skydio's service, what do you call their, help department,
customer
service helped him out. I just couldn't work the word customer. Thank you, Marcus.
You bet.
And then we're going to start out with two quick stories. And then we'll dig into the drone. And these are not drone stories in per se, but they're related to drones because people use these devices to make the B-roll for their drone videos. So we kind of consider them drone accessories. Well, just this week or last week, DJI announced the DJI OM for their handheld gimbal for cell phones. They not only announced it, but they released it. And I believe two people in the panel tonight may have put orders in already. We'll go confirm that later on. And it hasn't been officially announced by GoPro yet, but Engadget, The Verge, many of the big tech websites have previewed the GoPro Hero 9 with that front-facing color camera. All the vloggers have been screaming for it for a couple generations now to kind of rival what DJI did with the Osmo Action. But before we get to all that, I want to check in with my good friend and drone pilot, Marcus Crawford, over at the Idaho Quadcopter channel and see how he's doing tonight. Marcus, take it away.
Gosh, thanks for that introduction, Ron. Holy cow. So, doing what all good drone enthusiasts do. I've been flying some drones. So I posted a video just yesterday flying the two Femies and the Hubsan Zeno 2 out over Lucky Peak Reservoir with mixed results. The Femies, well, particularly the 2020. So when you set the white balance in sunny day, to me the picture is too warm and the colors don't look natural. So I put it in automatic for this test, white balance and automatic. And the problem that I saw is it was okay for a while, but then as you would move into different situations, as it would do in automatic, it changed that. So there were times that the colors looked pretty good and natural, and then there was other times it switched it all up and it didn't look quite so natural. So I'm going to keep working with that and figure it out. What I wish they had was a slider like we have with the Mavic Mini where you could manually set the Kelvin value of your white balance and lock it in. So I'm going to experiment around with some different settings on there and see if I can get that figured out. Now, I'll be honest with you, even though the 2018, I don't think, because it has as high of a bit rate, the video is a little bit grainier, but I thought it looked pretty good. In fact, I actually preferred the way the 2018 looked to the 2020. Although it's funny that you see the differences between the two drones. Now, they improved the connection on the 2020, and it was very, very evident when I was out there flying over the lake. I went out there about 1.5 kilometers, and I started having FPV stuttering and stuff on the 2018 version that I just didn't have with the 2020. Had good, solid connection the whole time with the 2020 version. Now, the other 800-pound gorilla in the room was the Hubsan Zeno 2 that let me down big time. I got clear out over the reservoir and lost FPV. Had an SD card error on it. Same SD card I've been using since the thing was new. But anyway, brought it back in, switched out SD cards, did a bunch of stuff, and never really did get it going. So what I was trying to do I was kind of inspired by Ron's recent video where he flew the Xeno 2 at the beach, and he had some just flipping amazing footage flying away from the sun at the beach. So I wanted to compare that with the two Femis, and it just wasn't to be. The Xeno just wasn't going to cooperate. And there's more to that story. We're going to talk about it a little bit later when Al gets in. But I the very next day, I did a bunch more work to the Xeno 2. Spent literally all day messing around with the Xeno 2, and I believe I have it resolved. But we'll that's another story that we can talk about when Al gets here. Ron, now it looks to me like you've had pretty good luck with your Xeno 2, and I really enjoyed that last video you did out on the beach because you just absolutely demonstrated the best of that drone and the worst of that drone in one video.
What I call a tale of two Xenos or something like that. And and reference your Femi videos. It does seem like there's some kind of a color issue with the Femi 2020, and I'm going to say your Femi 2020. Maybe somebody else's doesn't have that issue, but yours seem to have like a color profile that's off, and hopefully that can be fixed, or maybe in a future update, maybe allowed you to tune that or whatever. And like you said, the setting your manual Kelvin would be a good starting point, which a lot of even the little Mavic Mini has a manual Kelvin setting, so you can dial it in. But and like for all the problems with the Xenos, and obviously my Xeno doesn't have near the issues yours has. You've got the Friday Xeno or whatever, Xeno 2,
or the Monday morning one or whatever.
Yeah. And in the right situation, the video can look pretty good, and the color profile seems to be a little truer than at least your Femi at this point. And I didn't like I didn't do anything to that video in post. Like on the drone, I may have hit the color or sharpness up and down thing, but it was all done on the drone. No post processing on that otherwise. But anyhow, we could go on forever. But let's cover our two little stories, and we'll get Al in here and go into big detail. So I saw Leonard Owen here has ordered his Osmo Mobile 4, which is just called the OM4. Oh, Marcus has it already?
No, this is the 3.
Oh, 3. And look what he just showed there. Okay, if you're not aware, just to catch everybody up, DJI has a line of mobile phone gimbals, the 1, the 2, the 3, and Marcus has the 3 there, and now they've released the 4. And what you do is you put your cell phone on them, and it has 3 axes or whatever, so you can get really smooth video on them. And the killer feature of the 4 is I have a Zion Smooth 2 here. The killer feature is getting the phone set up. You have to put them in these clamps, and then you have to balance them. And if you're out someplace where you're trying to, some great shots happening, and by the time you get all this set up, the shot may be gone. Where with the Osmo Mobile 4, you'll just be able to take your phone with a magnetic thing and just clamp it on real fast. And it's always going to be in the same spot because of the magnetic thing. So you won't have to balance it every time. And that is the main reason why I don't use this device all the time over this device here, the GoPro Hero, is because the Hero doesn't require any balancing, any setup. All it requires is pushing the button. To see Marcus, he's working there to get it balanced.
Trying to get it lined up.
Oh, look, and that happens. That's another thing that happens with these things too. The phone goes flying off as you're trying to.
And I have the case on my iPhone here.
Yeah, and that's another problem too. You always have to take the case off these devices to fit most of the gimbals. Where, of course, with these little Heroes, none of that's involved. Or Osmo Action. I don't mean to be a GoPro centric here, but this, hopefully this magnetic thing, they say it was a Billy Kyle said the magnet sticks really good. Like he's pretty confident it's not going to fall off the thing. So Marcus, have you placed the order for your Osmo Mobile 4?
Well, I did, Ron, and I used your affiliate link.
That's great to say. I used somebody's affiliate link on this show also. Ordered the Osmo 4. I think we ordered them the day they came out, the evening of the day they came out, which is what was it, Thursday or Was it
Yeah,
Thursday?
what day was that? I'm trying to remember what day
Yeah,
it
it was
was.
Thursday, and we both ordered them Thursday evening after much thought. The price is what, $149.99, right?
$149.99, where this one was $119 with the kit. And I
So
just pressed the button to go landscape.
that magnet really upped the price.
That magnet up the price. Well, I think what they knew that they had something. And so what you can't get now is this case. They didn't offer this case.
Right. You get a bag now.
Yeah, but you still do get the little tripod that screws, got a 1/4-20 on the bottom that screws on there,
right.
Which helps you kind of hold it out a little more. So it's let me tell you, I've really enjoyed this thing, Ron, and you've seen some of the stuff that I've done with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that magnetic connection is going to make it even easier yet. So.
And people may say, well, why not just use a GoPro and not why even use the phone gimbal thing? And that's many reasons, but here's the number one reason for me. With the GoPro, you're always in that like super wide angle thing. And I know it has a narrow feature, but it's still not that narrow. Where with using one of these gimbals in your phone for close shots where you don't want like a super wide angle thing, you can get like a normal shot with these things better than you can with the action cameras. Right. Even though this has tremendous stability, you could walk along and you probably don't see a whole more bounce than you would walking along with this. But I just like the fact that, this can get that tighter shot when you want it, and you just don't have that real gigantic GoPro look to it. And the GoPro also has, their color profile, which you don't have to use, that's extremely kind of over the top color profile. I like it, but people tell you it's over the top, or in your phone, you can just dial the color and the settings in.
However you want.
Yeah, much better. So, and too, when you're like panning around, moving around, I think this is smoother using these gimbals than it is with the GoPro on a stick.
No question about it. I just wanted to show the advantage of being able to fold it up like this too for storage. That makes it easy to carry around.
Right. I mean, basically what they've done is they basically this is the Osmo Mobile 4, but it's really the Osmo Mobile 3.5, really, right, Marcus?
I totally agree. So I'm trying to remember what else they added to it, Ron.
Stronger motors, which is a big deal too, because phones are getting heavier and heavier. This is the Zion Smooth 2. And even though I have the Smooth 4, the Smooth 4 is a better gimbal in many ways, this has stronger motors. So this is a heavy phone with a case, with accessories on, like if you had like a third-party lens or something like that. And that's what the Osmo Mobile 4 will do, allow you to put those third-party anamorphic lenses on and the cases to hold them. And stronger motors is always a good thing, because to me, it even seems to make it smoother. So.
Yeah, I agree. And they added another feature where the phone will twirl around so you can get a rotating shot.
What do they call that? They
had a name for it. Vortex. I don't know, unless you're making a music video or something, maybe, I don't know, but it may not be something that was a big selling point to me.
I think that what the only con is it still doesn't rotate around 360.
Oh, I know what else they added, Ron.
What do we call that? The tracking. What's the tracking feature called for the drones?
Oh, Active Track.
Active Track 3.0.
Yeah.
So So that would be a good feature to have.
And they added dolly zoom as well.
Yeah, dolly zoom, which the 3 didn't have that.
3 did not have that. No.
That was on the Smooth 4, which is like the same generation, I think, as the Osmo Mobile 2, but they're playing catch up. But anyhow, we won't beat this to a dead horse because we don't have the product yet. Both of us are expecting it to arrive tomorrow. If you have any questions, ask Leonard in the chat. Leonard O, he said his is today, and he's charged it up, so he doesn't have it used it yet, but maybe he can answer some of the what's in the box questions. Mark,
hey, I'm glad you brought that up. We talked about charging, because one of the coolest things about that Osmo Mobile 3, it's got a huge battery in it, so you don't have to charge it very often. And
I think they said 12 hours in the video,
something crazy like that. And if you have a USB cable with you, you can literally charge your phone with it as well. So if you're
promotional videos,
yeah, yep.
Yeah. So again, we're going to have this. Well, actually, we won't be here next week. It'll be Labor Day Monday. So we're taking Labor Day Monday off. But we will probably throw a pre-recorded video in the feed if you guys are, you've already had all your hamburgers and hot dogs and, apple pie. If you want to tune in, we'll probably have something in the feed. But let's quickly move on to the GoPro Hero 9. And I'm going to try to, Marcus, while I'm trying to get this up on the screen, could you fill for a minute with talking about what we've heard about the 9 so far?
Yeah, so basically, this is the Osmo Action right here. And the big home run feature on the Osmo Action is that front-facing screen right there. And I just picked up this Osmo Action when they had it on sale for $250 and 3 batteries. But that front-facing screen is more useful than you would ever believe because it helps you when you're vlogging. And when I make videos, I'm trying to get in the center of frame. It really helps with that. So it's a big deal.
I have it on the screen here with the Engadget story where they're showing the screen having colors on, not just the like the settings like the our heroes have.
Right. Yeah, and that looks
be
like
a game changer for you having that that screen on it.
Well, it is, and that's what I was going to say, Ron. Is one of the reasons I bought the Hero 8 was because of the promise of that display mod, they called it, that had an attached display that you could face forward on it. And I just looked on their website. They promised it when the Hero 8 came out last October. They kept promising it the next month. Well, here we are in, tomorrow will be September of 2020, and it still isn't out. And they're promising it in September of 2020. Well, I don't know who's going to spend the $80 on that display mod. You might as well just wait for the Hero 9 the following month.
Maybe this is like the DJI promise of the smart controller and the Mavic Air 2 compatibility.
Yeah, you got to wonder because they advertised that thing for a year and they haven't been able to get it to market.
So what's your guess? Is it was some kind of technological problem, or they just lost interest in it? Or?
Well, you would have to believe it'd have to be a technical problem or manufacturing problem of some kind. It's pretty darn weird because. Geez, I mean, it would be a gold mine to them. A lot of people like me would have bought it, and
easy $80 to make off of somebody you've already got them for $399 for the camera.
Like you, I'm kind of I like DJI, but when it comes to these action cams, I've always been kind of a GoPro fan. I probably never would have bought this Osmo Action had they had that display mod available, but
yeah.
Regardless, it's
yeah. Let me clarify here. This is just rumors. The Osmo Mobile for real. This is still rumors. This picture could just be a phony. We're not saying these are. This is true. This is all rumor mill here. And the other rumor mills beside the front facing camera that can show you. It also talks about maybe 5K video, which I don't know how much that means.
Yeah, nothing to me. I can tell you that. But
I wonder. They should have put 8K video in to match the Evo 2.
Yeah, whatever's fair. I mean, yeah. Anyway, that just isn't anything that I think most of us are interested in at this point.
So you think this may be on your on your radar when it actually is released, if it's released?
Well, and I'll tell you it is, and I'll tell you why, Ron. Not so much because I'll be honest with you, this thing is perfectly serviceable for what I need to do. Quite frankly, I'm a GoPro fan, and I'll probably buy it for that reason as much as anything else. The other thing I will say is these GoPros hold their value. I had 2 GoPros. I had the Hero 7, and when the Hero 8 came out, I bought that. And I sold my Hero 7 on eBay and still sold it for $200. So they hold their value. In other words, you can.
I see people selling older Hero 3s and 4s on like Facebook Marketplace for over $100.
Yeah, so that's kind of a good reason to, you can upgrade and without breaking the bank, because you can recoup some of your money by selling the older version.
Correct. If you don't need to have 5 GoPros around.
And Ron, we should reiterate the reason we're talking about these is because a lot of us, we're not trying to get off drones here, but a lot of us that fly drones are interested in these kind of cameras and gimbals. So
And plus, there is no real drone news. So, we don't want to do the millionth Mavic 3 rumor show when, it's useless. Yeah. But okay, we don't want to go on forever about this stuff because, one's a rumor and the other one we don't have yet. So we come back from our big Labor Day holiday. Mark and I should both have maybe our first unboxing, first looks, and first trials with the Osmo 4, correct?
And use them with our drones, right?
Correct. Yeah, for filming drone video.
In conjunction with our drones. I want to add one more little thing I should have talked about when we were first talking. Ron, you have been talking a lot lately about the Skydio too, so it got me to thinking that I haven't flown a thing in a while. So after you and I talked this afternoon, I got all that stuff out. I've got batteries charged. I charged up the controllers, the controller and the beacon. So I'm thinking there might be some Skydio 2 flying going on tomorrow.
All right, so stay tuned, folks, and we're going to let Marcus segue right into our big guest today, Duran, Skydio Duran, coming on the show here with a little bit of a tale of woe, but we're going to bring him right on the big screen with us. Good evening, Duran, all the way from Virginia. How are you tonight?
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you. Let me join the group here. And yeah, man, you guys are going off about the GoPros. What a product, right? I mean, I myself have both the Osmo mobile devices, the 2 and the 3, and they sit in my shelf right in there. I don't use them much because what do we use? We use stabilized cameras like, the Pocket or the Palm. Much easier to fire up. Boom, we don't have to balance them. Downside is tiny little display. But yeah, so I got word back from Skydio support to
Al, before you tell the ending story, tell the whole beginning. You waited forever to get to Skydio because of the shutdown from the virus, and you finally received the Skydio when? Just in July?
Yeah, I received the Skydio in July, and I flew it probably about good 10 times, good solid 10 times. Probably the 3 cycles of each battery once. So,
and everything was going well?
Yeah, I'll back it all up to the beginning, like you were saying. Well, we all pre-ordered the Skydio, right? We put $100 down, right? You guys did too, Ron.
Oh, yeah.
So did I. Except for
last year.
First wave and got the second wave, but the email that came to me to sign up to pay, I was in the hospital and I didn't answer the email, so I missed the whole thing. And when I missed the whole thing, then it took me a while to jump back on it, and then finally sent it to me in wave 3, and I received it in July, and I started flying the heck out of it. And all my first flights were with the beacon, and the beacon was really easy to fly with, right? And the first kind of video that I put out was I took my bicycle and rode across the suspension bridge while the Skydio followed the beacon, and it hit one of the cables on the suspension bridge and almost went into the James River that day, but it recovered. And as you guys know, Skydio's got the best algorithms for recovery in the world, in my opinion, because it is designed to hit little branches and stuff like that and recovered. And this thing did just that. And then, I started noticing that the camera was so nice that it was rivaling the Mavic 2 Pro as far as the HDR quality in pictures. So, Ron, your pictures that you've been posting on Facebook are absolutely fabulous.
Thank you.
Really nice. Especially the sunset we've been getting. You've been getting really lucky. Over here in Richmond, the freaking clouds have been blocking the sun at sunset. And I'm a sunrise junkie, as you know.
Right, right.
So it's been horrifyingly, you're out there waiting and it's like, oh my gosh, those clouds are blocking the sunset, So anyway.
And somehow the Skydio too does a good job of the bright exposures of the sunrise and sunsets. It doesn't get as overwhelmed as some of the other drones do, even some DJI drones.
Agreed. And that 1-inch sensor is what it's all about, right? It has that much more real estate to be able to handle that granularity that we need for the sunset. But the Hasselblad glass is unbelievable too. So, right? So that's the big deal. So I started noticing that in the pictures, that the HDR quality in the pictures was as good as my Mavic 2 Pro. So then I'm like, I jumped all over the controller, and the premise of my videos were to show people that the Skydio 2 was just not an adventure drone, okay, where, it's following the bike rider or, the boosted board, booster bike, motorcycle, whatever, that you could actually take this controller and fly just like you would in Mavic 2 Pro. Maybe not as far, right, because it's a Wi-Fi interface, but you can use it to your advantage. And so I set out to fly in this tight railroad tracks, just zipping it as fast as I could, as low as I could, and just raise it up and show and reveal the sunset and sunrise to show that this is cinematic quality drone because of the camera. And so I started doing that, and then we had an opportunity. Travel Tech 360, Robbie and I went to this walking bridge that goes all the way across the river, and
that was a beautiful bridge, a beautiful view there, Al.
Yeah, it is beautiful. And I had taken my bike and ridden across there with the Skydio and the beacon, and I had it circle beam mode. So as I'm riding my bike across there, it was circling me. And I did a 2-minute video that I posted on YouTube, and I did post it on Instagram, a short version on Instagram also. And it worked. I mean, it was fantastic. Beautiful scenes at sunset. So again, went back to that location and started flying, went through the first battery, brought it down, put a new battery in, flew it again, and then all of a sudden it just quit taking signals.
How far was the drone away from you at this point, Al?
It was about 15 yards away.
Okay.
And you were using the controller, right, Al?
Yeah, I was using the controller. So, and I was really desperate because I had like 40% battery. So I'm sitting there 40% battery going, return home, move, and nothing would work. And it just sitting and hovering. And I knew what was happening next, right? I knew that it was going to hit that threshold and it was just going to land because it was running out of battery. And so I just kept pushing it up the whole time, just trying to push it up. Because as you all know, height is our friend with drones. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We get them up high, then we got a chance to maybe maneuver them someplace to drop them if we need to. But it wouldn't take anything at all, no input. So at that point in time, I asked Robbie from Travel Tech 360 to bring his drone back and assist me. And while he's flying his drone back to the same location we were flying from, you see the Skydio just hovering as he's flying right on by it. And the unfortunate matter was that I did not start the screen recording because I didn't want to tax my phone while in those trying conditions. You know, sometimes you start your screen recorder and your phone starts getting a little overheated, and you know, it just, I don't know. Sometimes
Marcus is the king of that situation.
Yeah, I heard Billy Kyle complaining about it the other day too.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to go through that scenario, so I didn't start the screen recorder, and so I didn't capture any of that data. So it was slow death. It was brutal, just watching it sit there and nothing could be done. And while I was standing there, there's 3 guys that came around behind me, and they were just watching the whole thing. As it turned out, they were from a church outreach group, and they watched the whole thing go down right in front of us, and it went. I mean, it just started descending.
Did you just feel helpless, Al?
Oh, it was sickening, man. Like I said in the video, it's like watching somebody drown and you can't help them. You know what I mean?
Right. People made these comments in the chat here that it was a tough video to watch.
Yeah, it really was. It was really tough. And then as soon as it hit the rapids, it was like, whoosh, swept away and gone. It's probably pinned under some rocks and probably never come out, because it's so heavy. And
that was pretty fast moving water, right?
Yeah, it was right there, really tough rapids at that location. So I was really bummed out. So as you can expect, so I had my Mavic 2 Pro with me also because I was planning to, compare them right there, but I didn't want to fly the Mavic 2 Pro right there again because of my bad luck. So I just went into a really nice area right next to it called Browns Island and flew the Mavic 2 Pro there. And while I was flying that, these 3 guys came up to me and said, "Hey, we watched the whole thing. Can we pray over you?" And I was like, "Man, you can pray over my knee, which is going to have surgery next month." And they mentioned the drone in their prayers, and I put that in the video.
Before we get off here tonight, could you drop the link to the video in the chat?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I mean, not right now, but when you're done, we have a minute or two when Marcus and I are talking, find that and drop that in the chat in case anybody hasn't seen it yet. It'll be helpful to some people. But anyhow, so okay, it went in the water. You're heartbroken. You can't figure out what happened. What's your next step after that?
So, the next step, I was just so kind of rattled, kind of trying to control my emotions, from kicking the cat, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I decided that it was just best just to fly drone and just kind of take my mind off and just concentrate on flying.
Right.
And I flew the drone, and then it came back down, and Robbie and I talked, and he said, "Let's make a video and let's talk about this, what happened." And I was like, "I'm ready to do this." So we both got our GoPros out and we shot the video saying, "This is what happened. And I don't understand why it didn't return home. Why did it not return home? I mean, you're pushing, if it's running out of battery, what is the first thing most drones do? Return home. Why did it not return home?"
Hey, Al, I see on the screen here, Sean Oz has a question for you.
Did I miss a reason yet why you upgraded Skydio 2 firmware? Also, is there another new one out today? That's a good question. I haven't been keeping track of the firmware because obviously I don't have a drone that I can fire up and tell you what the versions are out today. But the day after mine went down, there was a firmware release, and I did not upgrade. I didn't have a chance to upgrade. I was still running on the original firmware at that date. So, yeah, so they've released a couple of new firmware since this crash occurred. And
well, maybe I can help answer Sean's question. When Al and I talked last week on the phone, and Al told me what happened, and he said, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. He talked to Skydio, and Skydio said there was a firmware/software problem. Almost that same day, I saw that Skydio issued a app update for the iOS version of the Skydio 2 app. And then a couple days later, I don't know if this is the day of release, but I think it was Friday, I did a firmware update for the Skydio 2. I don't know what date it came out, but it said it was a firmware update. So now I'm on the latest firmware and the latest app update. And I didn't look today. So if anything happened today, I can't speak that. But I believe from my conversation with Al, this app update and this firmware update that happened last week should have rectified the problem that Al went through.
Alleviate the issue.
And not returning home. I haven't had a chance to test flight. I had some bad weather this weekend from the leftover hurricanes, and today today was rain too. But I haven't got a chance to test it and feel. But I will get out the next day it doesn't rain and see if I have any loss of connection. But back to Al.
Yeah, so put a video together saying, "Hey, Skydio, I need your help. Here's how you can get a hold of me, and I'm going to be posting everything on, Duranify, YouTube, and you can hit me up on Duranify.com. You can hit me on Duranify.live. You can hit me up on, all my social media."
And they actually replied to your YouTube video, correct?
Yeah, they actually replied to the YouTube video. Marcus, I gave you a big shout out for chiming in. Robbie from Travel Tech 60 actually chimed in also. And let me see, looking at the video details here, comments.
Yeah, we just basically chimed into Skydio and said, "Hey, how about taking care of our friend Al, Skydio?" And yeah, so
yeah, and so Skydio got back to me, and they were very good. They I posted this on Tuesday. I called them while I was flying. Right after I finished flying, I called them, left them a voicemail. I called support, customer support, left a voicemail with all my information, and then that night I made the video of what happened. And I stayed up to about 1 a.m., finished the video, posted it, and then shot an email out to Skydio support that morning. And they got back to me about 1 o'clock our time because, you got to remember they're in California, right? And so 1 o'clock our time is like 10 o'clock their time. And so they said, "Hey, we got the video. We got your email. Can you send me this, this, and this?" And I shot him everything back. And then he replied back. Andre was the name of the representative working with me. He replied back, said, "Hey, can you power up the drone and send me the logs?" And I was like, "Okay, you obviously didn't read everything I sent you. I sent you because he wanted video, and the only video I had was what I had posted." So I was like, "Well, you obviously didn't read everything I sent you because the link in there is to the video I posted on YouTube." And he replied back like 20 minutes later, apparently after he viewed the video. He goes, "Hey, my apologies for making you upset about, thinking that I wasn't reading everything that you sent me." So he was pretty good about it. He backtracked and he said, "I'm sorry, didn't upset you. I watched the video, and then I'm pushing up." But because when I replied back to him, so you obviously didn't view the video, didn't read everything I sent you. So I'm formally wanting to escalate this up to the service director, which I had looked up on the web. So it was another guy. He was the only one that had an email listed under all the officers under Skydio. So I went in there and checked out each one of the officers there, the CEO, CTO, chief engineer officer, and the director for service. Actually, he had a Gmail email in there, and I emailed him directly. So when this customer service rep said that, I said, "I want to have this thing escalated immediately to the director," and I gave him the name and the email. And he replied back, "No worries, we got you. We're going to fix this up for you." And that's, and basically it took about 3 days for them. No, it was 2 days. I'm looking at the emails now, and they said they're going to replace the drone. And now I'm looking at tracking numbers for the replacement drone with the battery. So,
hey, Al, so did they give you any reason, or that they thought that there was a problem? Why the problem happened?
They they just left it really broad, Marcus. They basically said that it was a bug in their firmware that was causing these kind of like disconnects that would just leave the drone in limbo. And then it would just have to land after it ran out of battery. So it wasn't anything to do with water. So there's a lot of people out there that are saying that, hey, you shouldn't be out over water. They specifically say, in the warranty that you can't be over water and all this stuff. It really doesn't matter, because if you hit the return home, it should come home. If you turn off, you lose signal for whatever reason, it should come home. You know what I mean? If it hits the threshold on the battery that you have set to return home, it should come home. Because my threshold, I think I set it to 20% to come home. So, yeah, let me read that email and see if I find it. You know how Gmail just kind of adds reply after reply on top of each other, so you have to read through the whole.
Right. I hate that.
Yeah, no worries, Al. I think we kind of got the gist of it.
So I mean, I don't know what your opinion is, Al, but I'm very impressed with the contact you have with Skydio and the response to it.
I am really impressed, and I'm super glad that this U.S. company, which we're all rooting. I am rooting for a U.S. manufacturer to break out, and I think Skydio is going to break out soon, and it's going to break out big time with the X2 coming out, right? Because we're all waiting for the X2. It's a folding drone, right, with forward-looking infrared FLIR, and you can actually deploy it in those little boxes that have this automated system that slides out and they fly out on their own, come back and do their mapping, and then fly back to the box, slide back in, and charges itself. So basically, you can program to say, put it on top of your house, waterproof box. If you see any of my alarms go off, go up in the air, fly, and record map my house. So it'd be able to do extra security for you, right? So, I mean, if you were to set up a company to do that, to provide a product that does that, dude, you're going to be rich, because it'll be automated surveillance system.
Are you going to do it, Al?
They can see at night.
Al, are you going to do it?
Al, you do it. I'll invest in that company. Hey, I want to interrupt the show just for a second. We have Sean Oz in the chat, and a lot of people are asking him about, Spin Up and his Spin Down event that he's holding in Colorado. He says right here it's on the 26th. The last time I heard, the event was sold out, but if it's not, update that information. And the 26th gives us some time. If Marcus and I can coordinate schedule with Sean, we'd like to have him on the show before the 26th, where he could do a little preview of what Spin Down is going to be all about, and maybe some of the speakers and just some general information for people. So I'm going to reach out to Sean this week and see if we can get him on the show before that event, the 26th. So thanks for keeping everybody informed, Sean. And Sean has a lot of interest in the Skydio too, because he has it and he really loves the drone for its optical voice tracking features. He lives in a top of a mountain in Colorado, and it comes in real handy. So now, like, I think what you're trying to say is the Skydio 2 is almost the future. It hasn't been perfected yet, but it harkens to what the future could bring.
Yeah, and the other really nice thing about this product too is using NVIDIA. As we all know, that's a US-based company. And I don't know if you guys know the story about NVIDIA. I work for a company called
Jensen Wang.
Yeah. And the company Silicon Graphics at the time was making the best high-end graphics in the world. They were making, all the stuff that all Hollywood is using to make the Terminator 2 and all the animated movies, right? So the graphics group that made that then made Nintendo 64 graphics, the graphics chipset for them, right? The graphic engines for them. And then that group within Silicon Graphics said, let's make this a commodity product and sell the heck out of it as a PCI card for the PCI business, right? Because back then there wasn't anything like it as today. And then the executives of Silicon Graphics said, no, F you, we're a high-end snobby company. We're not going to get into the commodity PC business. We're proprietary and we're going to stick to it. So that whole group quit and left and started NVIDIA. And that's where NVIDIA started. But the whole point, to make the story short, is this. Again, it's a US-based company that's doing all this, right? And that's what we are good at. We're developing marketing and making really cool stuff. And then it gets manufactured somewhere else, usually, right? And unfortunately, man, if it does go to China, they'll kind of pickpocket or steal the product, right? And they'll make it into something else, right?
Taiwan is where NVIDIA is making most of their product now. I'm actually an investor in NVIDIA, so I do know a little bit about them, Al. And Jensen Huang, who is the CEO, is just an absolute genius. And it's the Jetson chip that's in our beloved Skydio 2 that gives it the brains. And ultimately what they came up with is they learned that those graphics chips that can do a ton of stuff at one time, because to do graphics, it's got to have a lot of threads through it. And I'm not a computer engineer, but I can understand the theory behind that. Well, they found out that works well for a lot of other things, for AI, etc. And so that's a company that's just exploded and
yeah, and it will continue to grow. And I think Skydio is going to break out big time, not only because of the commercial side, but we're going to see the security side of it, right? So once you're able to basically get an alarm, put a bunch of birds up in the air, and start doing your grids, you're just going to be able to have eyes in the sky, night or day.
So the thing about Skydio is it's so much beyond drones. So the technology that they're developing is going to be applicable to all different kinds of transportation. So I really think you're just seeing the tip of the iceberg. And I think what'll happen with Skydio is they'll either get bought out by
some, will, for sure.
Well, or their investors will take them public, and if they do, I suspect that one is going to be a winner. Now, Jim, Above and Beyond Drones, is making a really good point here. He's saying that Skydio and a lot of these companies now are doing a lot of work for the military. And a smaller company like Skydio, it's difficult for them to, of course, we don't really know what kind of injection of cash is going in, but they got to manage that growth. So how much of it is going to go to the consumer side? Obviously, we know they're focusing on commercial. You were just talking about it, Al. But we also know that they have told us, Skydio themselves have announced that they're doing a lot of work for the DoD. So
Jim makes a good point. Marcus, that's a good comment. And one of our favorite consumer drone companies, Parrot, has moved over to the commercial side
it's the only thing
and left the consumer market behind. So this is kind of a bad trend for us hobbyist flyers.
I don't think it's a bad trend, because here's the deal. A lot of the technology that the military developed, GPS, we wouldn't be able to be flying without GPS. Silly stuff like, duct tape, right? Developed by military, ballpoint pens, and the list goes on and on. Velcro, blah, 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 that has been developed for the military ends up in the civilian world, right? Because we all know that research money, they just can't hold back that technology that's going to be applicable to the masses. They just can't. It might take a little while, and they'll have the best pick of it, but it'll definitely trickle down to the consumer. So we're lucky that we have Skydio, producing those products for us today, because autonomous flights is the name of the game, right? How many of us want a drone to be able to track you, circle you, blah, 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 right? We got that today, right? And the Air 2 today is one of the better ones from DJI, right? Which is rivaling the Mavic 2 Pro, in my opinion, or the Mavic 2 product line with those autonomous flight where it tracks you, right? I don't know if you guys saw the boat video that I did. I did one in the car that I haven't posted. And man, it is just amazing how well it does. Obviously, the Mavic 2 product line is better than the Air 2 because of the fact that it has the object avoidance kind of all the way around. There's a couple little blind spots in the sides on the Mavic 2 Pro that you have to watch out for. There's a little bit of an angle in the back. You can walk up to it and stick your finger in it and that thing will move. So you'll cut your finger before that thing moves. But anywhere else underneath the top and everything, you put your hand there and nothing moves away from you, right? Where the Skydio 2 doesn't have any blind spots. No. But the limitations, again, are flying at night in long distance. But it wasn't made for long distance flying. It was made to
Well, so what people like Sean Oz would tell you, Al, about something like that is, because we've talked about it before, it's not so much long distance, but when you're flying in through the trees and so forth, you want a stronger signal so that you don't, and I've had it happen to me. You get to the other side of a building or something and you lose connection with it. So that, I think, is more of what we're talking about with the Skydio 2 when we're asking for a better connection than pure long distance range.
Yeah, no, I agree. Being able to punch through, those trees, I agree. And I don't know what your experience been where you lost total signal with your controller. What happened to your Skydio 2, Marcus?
I came home. In fact, I've done that more often using just the phone because you don't have to get out very far with just the phone, and it'll lose, and then it goes up to return to home height and comes back. So I've never had it fail to RTH, Al. Fortunately, I didn't experience
I did. And because I had taken off from one spot and walked underneath a bridge to get to my flying location because I didn't want to fly under the bridge because I knew I wasn't going to get a signal. So I took it up and walked under the bridge, probably 400 yards. And then when I was flying it, I went back under the bridge and lost connection. And then I was like, okay, where's it going to go back to? And I was like, oh my gosh, it's going back to my location where I flew back. So I had to hustle all the way back there before somebody else got there. You know what I mean? And so those are the kind of things that I think, they're going to have to tweak, how we can set the dynamic home point on our DJI products. I think that we're going to need that on the Skydio. I don't know if I've found it yet, but I haven't looked that hard in the settings. Do you guys know, Ron and Mark?
Yeah, you can do that.
You can do a dynamic. Okay. So I think that's probably the best thing to do, especially with that product.
You got, I see Marcus sees it in the chat. There's a conversation going on between a comment Jim above and beyond drones made about he likes to fly his drones manual, and Sean pointed out a good point. You can fly the Skydio 2 as manual as you want to with the controller. All those advanced features we're talking about are there, but you don't have to use any of them. You can fly it, as manual as you want to, right, Al?
And that's my favorite part is flying the thing with the controller. I mean, I love the other stuff that it does. It's fun, but my favorite thing is using that controller with the Skydio. It makes a less than optimal pilot like me look good.
I tell you, it does, because you don't have to worry about running into that tree or that building or that pole. You just push that stick and like you said, it makes you look good. And that's one of the things that is really nice about that product. Obviously, the small little power lines are going to be a problem. There's more small little branches are going to be a problem. But from my experience, it does a really good job. It really does. I mean, my favorite drone to fly, probably like you, Ron, is the Mavic 2 Pro. You have the Zoom, correct, Marcus?
I have the Zoom, yeah.
Which is still the same drone to fly.
It's the same drone, just different camera. But which is your favorite drone to fly?
Well, it depends on what I'm doing. But if I've said this a million times, and people on the show will know what my answer is. That's easy. The Mavic Air 2.
Mavic Air 2, okay.
Yeah.
And what's your favorite, Ron?
Yeah, right now, I think I enjoy flying the Air even more than the Pro. We're just talking flying here.
Yeah.
I think it handles more like a sports car, and the 2 handles more like a muscle car. I kind of like the movements I can make with the Air 2. Easier. Kind of just glides along a little bit easier than the bigger Mavic 2.
And it's precise. It's very, very precise. With the Skydio, and I'd be interested to hear what Sean Oz says in the chat here. What I've found, though, is that there can be some lag sometime with the Skydio. So it's not as easy to fly it as precisely as, for instance, the Mavic Air 2.
Let me ask you this, Marcus and Ron. You have the controller too, right, Ron?
I have the smart controller for the Mavic 2 series. Yes.
Oh no, let's go back to the Skydio 2.
Oh yeah, I have the beacon and the controller both. Yes.
And you have your settings all set to 100%, correct? For those 3 parameters there, right?
You mean as far as different yaw and things like that?
Yeah.
I've probably tuned them.
Yeah, I usually tune them too, but I don't remember.
I don't know what the settings are, but I've probably tuned them.
Yeah, jam them to 100%, and I find them very responsive at 100%. If you leave them anywhere around 50, they get like, you move it, and then it's like, okay, it took a little while. But yeah, just play with those settings and see which one you prefer. But they become more responsive, in my opinion.
And don't get me wrong, Al. I don't dislike flying the Skydio 2 at all. I think it flies well. I love the fact that how fast it is off the line. It can go from 0 to really flying fast in a split second. So I'm not knocking. I love flying. I mean, a lot of people say they don't fly well with the controller. They don't like the controller. I don't say any of this stuff. I have no problem with the controller. I think it flies great.
How about the punch, man? That punches up.
Yeah.
You hit that punch, man.
Yeah, right off the line. That thing's as fast as my DJI drones are faster. Now they would catch it in the long run, but not off the initial burst.
Yeah.
Hey, Sean.
And Skydio does really well in the wind too. Nobody talks about that, but
that's very true.
It's not a drone you have to worry about in the wind.
Very true.
Marcus,
no, that's fine, Ron. You were making an excellent point there. But I just noticed Sean Oz is saying that it isn't in super tight places because of the bubble around the drone. You may not be able to get into as tight of a place as you could with a Mavic, etc.
Agreed.
But you certainly can safer. And Sean also mentioned earlier that once you get used to what that bubble is, you can use it to your advantage as well.
And I find that it's about 4 feet on each side, right? It's like an 8-foot bubble all the way around. It's in the center. That's my, kind of my perception when I'm flying it. But yeah, but nothing beats the little mini when it comes to flying through tight spaces. Because again, it doesn't have any sensors. So you can squeeze that little puppy. If you're brave enough to fly, man, I think it's super nice. And I've been having a really good time flying the Mini lately, believe it or not, because those 3 batteries, you could fly for like an hour. just plug them in and go. And it's just amazing. But what is that? Active Track 3 or Active Track? Yeah, it's Active Track 3 on the Air 2.
The Mavic Air 2, right.
that ActiveTrack 3 is incredibly nice.
Yes.
Fun
I know.
area.
And it's going to be in the Osmo Mobile 4 also, the ActiveTrack 3.
The OM4.
OM4.
You better start running fast. Here I come.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, listen, I know Marcus is going to have to go pretty soon.
Oh,
Marcus,
no, I'm good. I'm good, Ron. I did the walk before the show.
okay, we're at the 10 o'clock hour here. Before we have to go, we got Al in here. I want to hear Al's response because he's kind of an expert on this stuff, and he's taken the Xeno 2 apart and put it back together. And Marcus, would you tell your story you had to go through the other day with your Skydio, the ribbon cable, and all? Condense it, and maybe Al can give us a little feedback on maybe what was happening.
Yeah, so the Xeno 2, when I was out, the Hubsan Xeno 2, when I was out at Lucky Peak, I'd mentioned earlier that I got out in the middle of the lake, lost FPV completely, brought it back in. It gave me a card error. The screen just went blank. So I did all the usual stuff, reboot, all that kind of thing, reformatted the card, yada, yada, yada. Still no joy. I would take it up. I would turn on FPV. In a few seconds, it would go black again. So I had another SD card with me. By the way, the SD card I had in it is the one that I've been using in it since it was new. So I don't know why all of a sudden it would be a problem. But I had another SD card. So U3 rated, high-speed card, different brand, Patriot. Put it in there, formatted it, all that good stuff. Same thing. After a couple of minutes, screen went blank. Lost FPV altogether. So my assumption was I was a victim of the famous Hubsan Xeno 2 gimbal ribbon cable, camera ribbon cable that goes bad on many, many of them. So the next day I took it out and I thought, well, what if it's just a one-off? So I formatted everything, checked all the calibrations, took it out again, took it out to just a local park, Heroes Park, took it up in the air, and sure enough, after just a minute or so, screen goes blank again. I get the same darn SD card error.
Oh, no.
And so I brought it back, and I thought, well, it's got to be that ribbon cable. And I was trying to decide, do I have the skill set to replace that cable or not? I had preemptively, because I'd heard so many people have problems with that cable, I had preemptively ordered one. So I had a new cable at home. So I went ahead and decided to tackle the job. And it really was not as difficult as maybe what some channels might want you to think. But I was able to get it done. If a fumble-fingered 64-year-old blind guy like me can do it, I think probably almost anybody could replace that ribbon cable. So took it back out to the park thinking, I got this. Put the thing up in the air. It was up in the air for about 5 minutes. Boom, screen goes blank again. I get that same SD card error. So brought it back in, feeling pretty dejected. Came home, charged batteries, charged everything back up again, and then I used my SanDisk. I went and got one of my SanDisk Extreme Pro cards. I had a Samsung Evo U3 rated card in it, which I've used that card in a number of different drones, and like I said, I had used it in that Xeno 2 since new, and it had been fine. But I put that SanDisk Extreme Pro in there, the one that says it has a 90 megabit write speed and I think a 145 megabit read speed. Put it in there, formatted it, took it to a park next door to me here, ran the whole battery through it with no issue. Didn't have another problem. So Al, I mean, I'm just curious what you think that was. I mean, did I really have a problem with the ribbon cable? Why would it all of a sudden not like the card that had been in it since new? By the way, there were no firmware updates in between there.
And I want to ask Al if he's ever replaced the ribbon cable in the Hubsan Xeno 2.
Yeah, I've never had the luxury of doing that, Marcus, but I suspect that, the way they write the firmware of Hubsan, It's never the most robust way of doing it, right? I just had to upgrade my Xeno Pro firmware, and as you know, you got to hook it up to the computer and go through that. So what I'm thinking, Marcus, is probably that firmware in that it hit something that triggered a blackout from the card.
So a lot of people
if the card was shorted out, maybe it would have been something like that. But
so I thought of that because those SD cards can go bad, right? They can, right? So, but I also thought that I had switched it to the other Patriot card, which was a U3 rated high speed card, and I had the same problems with that one. So it was just weird. So maybe I replaced that ribbon cable for nothing, but at least it works now. So, yeah.
Let's keep our fingers crossed, right? Because as you know, Hubsan takes a lot of shortcuts when they make their drones, man. They really do. I mean, like my Xeno 2 controller, I was plugging it in, and that whole female part of the USB-C charging port, you know how we have to charge it all the time, just came completely off.
Our friend Blue Skyver wore that about us way back in the winter when he was dealing with flying it.
Exactly, Ron.
So yours broke, Al. Were you able to repair it?
Yeah, and I made a video about it and how I did it, and it was not an easy fix at all because I didn't have one of those micro soldering irons because the USB female housing or connector or whatever you want to call it. I mean, you need like a magnifying glass and a micro soldering iron, and I didn't have that. I had a small one. And I just gave it a shot because here's what I thought. It's already broken. If I break it some more, it's broken anyway, right? I'm just going to have to purchase one for $120, right? So I was like, it's already broken. What else could I do? Break it some more? So I went at it. And to my surprise, it worked. So what I ended up doing to make sure I don't unplug it and plug it back in, I ended up getting a USB-C charger. Because I use an Android-based phone that it's a USB-C port. So then I just take my controller and just plug it right straight into my charger without having to remove it from the controller. See what I'm saying? If you could
okay, I see. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
You don't have the luxury of that because you have to have a lightning on the other end.
Right. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Mine is USB-C that plugs right straight into the USB charging port.
Well, knowing what happened to Blue Skyver, and I do now, thinking back on it, I remember you had that issue. I can tell you every time I remove that thing or put it back in, I just
do it carefully.
Very carefully and very gentle. No jerking it out, no jamming it back in. Make sure it's lined up and, very careful with it.
I do the same thing, Marcus.
I do the same now that I'm flying. Unfortunately, we all have too many drones and we could only fly so much each one. So we have favorites we take all the time, right? So I suspect a lot of times the Mini stays back home because you're flying the Femies or the Xeno 2s and the AR2s and the Pros, right? So the poor little Mini gets left behind a lot, and the Xeno Pro was the one that got left. I mean, in the Xeno, I don't fly the Xeno a whole lot anymore. So I suspect I probably should sell it and let somebody else enjoy it, So maybe and you'll be trying to get into the flying a GPS drone might get better use out of it. So I find my Xeno Pro, I'm like, I don't even bother to take that port out, man. Again, I charge it just the same way because of the bad experience that I've had. And we've all known that the Hubsan quality of producing those drones, they're just not as high quality as as the Femi, in my opinion, because I've taken both of them apart completely because I've had to replace arms on both of them. So yeah, that's what I found. The Femi's better made product. Obviously, the DJI product line is made better, and hopefully, I'll never have to open up a Skydio 2 ever, because I'm sure those parts will be really hard to find.
Hey, our friend Ethan Mitchell from Coast to Coast Drone Therapy Show, he points out here, he says, if anyone is interested in unlocking the full potential of Mavic Mini, you need to check out the Litchi app. And I've seen guys post the videos the last couple of weeks of using their Mini with the Litchi. And I think it was in a beta at first, but it may be for real now. So if anybody has the Litchi, I would definitely look into it. It's a great alternative app for flying your DJI drones. And I know the Minis, I knew they were working on the Mini. Hopefully the Air 2 also hits the Litchi in the near future.
Hey, Ethan, I'd like to ask you a question about the Mini. Have you been doing the active track with Litchi and the Mini, and how well is that working? That's one of the things that I wanted to. I bought Litchi, but I left it on my other phone. I think I'll probably have to buy it again. I'm not sure if I can move the license over to the new phone.
Well, I think you can. You can't move it to a different platform. Like if you have an Android phone and you bought Litchi and you move to an iOS phone, you have to buy it again. People get mad that you have to buy for both platforms. But if you stay the same platform, you should not have to buy it again.
Good, because as you all know, I don't have a rotten apple, right?
Yeah, and I can't speak for Android, but I know on iOS, if you buy it once, you can you can download the app again, and it'll remember that you purchased it without even questioning you.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know, because I'll just go ahead and download it and put it on my Android phone and see if it works.
Ethan Mitchell said adjustable picture profiles and 1080p 60 frames per second on the Litchi app with the Mini. So that's really good to know, Ethan.
Yeah, especially if you can adjust the ISO and the shutter speed, for sure.
You can on the Mavic Mini already, but what is, I guess what I'm always wondering why people are so hung up on tracking with the Mavic Mini. I mean, so one of the things about it is it's a small, lightweight drone, and it doesn't have the processing power. And I suspect if you can do tracking with it, it's just going to be so, even if they write the code for it, or they're going to have to use the CPU on whatever your mobile device is in order to accommodate that. And of course, obviously, people have wide-ranging different devices. So I guess if I'm going to track, I'll get out my Mavic Air 2. I've just never been worried about it with the Mini.
All right, so there's a couple things that I wanted to bring up, if you guys humor me for a second. One of them was that remember, I think I was here last. Oh, actually, it was Ron when we were on. I was a guest for the boys on the across the pond. I showed him that I was going to strap my beacon on top of the Mavic 2 Pro and fly it around and have the Skydio chase the Mavic 2 Pro around. It works. Okay?
Yeah, Michael Barrington did a big video on that. Yeah.
Well, the QC guy, Chris, was one of the first that I know of that did it. And he really went out on a limb flying it over the water that day. And he did it really well. It works. So you can strap the beacon on top of the Mavic 2 Pro or whatever you want to use, Air 2, and do it. And it works. But a little tricky, so when you go out there and do it the first time, just, be careful, because once you lose connection, then, that's when it gets dicey with the beacon. So don't fly too fast is what I'm saying. Don't lose the Skydio 2, because then it's got to require it, right? So And then the other thing I wanted to bring is more of a personal thing. The World Drone Community is the new Facebook group that's we've started that is designed to bring the laws of each country to the Facebook group. And then within the country, they're going to specific to the province of that country, or in the United States, to the state of each country. So that way, if you want to know, if you're going overseas, there'll be a representative for that specific country, and then there'll be a representative for that specific province that you're going to that will be able to give you the kind of, the know-how or the rules of that area. So today we have a lot of drone groups, but this World Drone Community Facebook group is designed to help the traveler know what the laws are for that specific location that you're going to. And the other idea is this: it's going to help you find a fly buddy. If you want a fly buddy, if you want to go fly with somebody, you can just hit that community, World Drone Community, to be able to kind of, interact and say, hey, I'm going to be in Virginia Beach. Anybody out there that wants to go fly at such and such time at this location? Or I'm going to be in Idaho, and I don't know what the rules are about Boise. Can somebody tell me what places are out of bounds for flying, right? And we all know we can look them up in the apps and all that. But if you have like local boots on the ground, they'll say, yeah, sure. You come to Richmond, I'll meet you at this location. I'll take you to this place that we know we can get some really good cinematic shots. So that's what this Facebook group is designed to do. It just started, got over 200 members right now, but check it out, guys.
What's the name again, Al?
Oh, you want me to post it as Drone World Community?
Just throw it in the chat there, Al.
All right, and we'll do.
Well, I'll throw in the chat. Matt kind of brought up a story that we probably should have talked about earlier. It broke today. I saw it on several of the big drone sites about Amazon being approved for drone deliveries. Did you see that story today, Marcus?
Yeah, and did you see typical Ken Dono, original Dobo? He did a very emotional video about it. A few F-bombs and stuff thrown in through there, typical of original Dobo. So I'm not ready to say it's the end of the world yet. We got to see what happens. It's a big sky up there. So, if there's regulations that they have to fly at, 500 feet or whatever, well, we're not flying our drones at that height, right? And so obviously they do have to come down to make whatever delivery that they're making. So there may be some things like that, but I guess if it turned into a disaster where every place was a no-fly zone and this and that, then yeah, that would be bad. But nobody has indicated that yet, so I'm not ready to hit the panic button. How about you, Ron?
Yeah, I briefed over the story, and I think we discussed off air. I'll worry about this stuff more when it's actually when the drones are actually in the air. I don't mean to minimize the story at all. It's just not that I just really didn't dig into the story, give it a lot of thought. Hey, listen, we had two things here. Either comment, neither one. Eric Rose, who's from the Bahamas, is talking about a new Xiaomi zone called the FunSnap Diva with DNG 4K 30 for less than $400. Has anybody ever heard of that yet? And also, Ethan Mitchell's commenting about it in the Mavic Air 2 that turns on the remote ID thing by default. So if you don't want to fly with a remote ID on, you have to go in and turn it off every time.
That is true.
and they're talking about tracking, but and then have you heard of this FunSnap Diva, Marcus?
I'm looking it up on right now, and I see there's a couple
cool looking little thing.
There's a couple of YouTube videos.
I'll share the link on the big screen.
Yeah, let's see. Well, I'm just trying to look for one that might give us the best. Let me find one here.
And while we're looking for things, a question for Ethan Mitchell, if he's still out there. Speaking of DNG photos, does the Litchi app allow you to take DNGs with the Mavic Mini? That's a big thing. A lot of photographers would love if the Mini had a DNG a picture profile in there. Now it's currently only JPEGs.
So Ron, this thing does not look like it's. I don't think it's a Fimi drone. It's a Xiaomi drone.
Okay, yeah, because we know, they're people kind of think they're the same company, but they're not exactly.
Right.
Well,
right. So
we don't really know the hierarchy over in China, but that's the way it is.
I'll put it in the private chat, Ron, and you can then click the link from there.
Okay, great. I think I see it. I'll have to copy it. I think I can.
Oh, you can't just click on it?
Yeah, but I could copy and put it in a browser window.
Okay, sorry about that.
No, we're learning here.
Yeah, the brand says FunSnap. So rather than Fimi, it's Xiaomi must get with this other and
I don't know if he's done it yet, but Curtis Dart he has a new song and he wanted to know if he could share the link to his new song in the chat. So
yeah, please do.
If he has, if he hasn't done it yet, if anybody wants to hear his new song, look for the link in the chat. I told him to go ahead and do it in the chat, but okay.
I see a problem already. It says your phone will be your remote control.
Hold on, I'm trying to share screen here.
Mechanical 3-axis gimbal.
Yeah, the 3-axis gimbal does sound appealing.
Can you guys see it?
Yeah, you got it. You got it, buddy.
It looks a lot like a Mavic Air 1.
A little bit. 26-minute flight time, intelligent flight modes. Here's the problem. Your phone. So it does have. Does it have a transmitter too? I'm trying to. It may have both. I think maybe you can fly it either with your phone.
I'm looking at the pictures so far. I haven't seen a.
No. I think it's just.
Look how it's not much bigger than that guy's phone there.
Yeah, than the phone. So it's a tiny little thing. So, yeah, probably. Yeah.
But you want to hear the upside? It's got a 14-day return policy and 2-year warranty.
There you go. It
flies 2 kilometers.
2 kilometers just with your phone?
That's what it says.
It's hard
That's
to
be
believe.
a revolutionary drone, Marcus.
Yeah, I don't know how that works, but yeah.
It must.
Oh no, it says no. Hold it. It says the package.
Oh, it has a controller.
It does have a transmitter.
It does have a controller.
They just don't want to show it.
Oh no, they're showing it in the video. If you watch the video at the 2-minute mark, you'll see it, and it says.
I see that where it says your phone will be your remote control, so it is kind of iffy.
Yeah, no, but if you
here you go. In addition, you can place the smartphone on the transmitter and view the images, and it increases the range and everything. Okay,
right.
The classic Chinese translation issue, right? So
exactly. Good comment, Al.
So,
it's got very precise GPS positioning.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good.
Well,
what do you think, Mark? Is this our Fimi killer or Mavic Mini killer? Or
I wouldn't even hazard to guess at this point, Ron.
You just never know. The pictures they're in Chinese.
Got a bit rate of 100 megabytes. The 1 1/3 CMOS sensor.
Okay, hold it. I got the answer here. Yeah, and it's not good. So Al, your friend TravelTech 360 and our friend as well is saying that he's educating us here. He's telling us that Xiaomi does FunSnap and Fimi, and the Diva is similar to the C-Fly Faith, which makes it not so good. That C-Fly Faith and that JJRC X12 and that EX4, I'm telling you, they're not worth the money you spend on them.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
we've
But
sorted
the
that one out
difference-
already, huh?
what was the issue with the JJRC X12? You remember that? It just didn't fly very well, or
There's many issues, Al. Where do I begin? Go look at my review of the EX4. It's the same drone. So there's all kinds of problems with the software. There's range issues, connection issues. There's camera issues. The video is just not that good. There's jello in the video. It's got a gimbal on it, but it just doesn't work. Vibration gets to that camera, creates jello. I had issues with really all the flight modes on it. I think maybe the whole time I had that thing, I really had one flight on it that I really felt like I was in control of the drone for the whole flight. So, there's people that love that drone, but I'm telling you, they're making a lot of excuses for a lot of the faults in that product. That's in my opinion. What I tell people, if you're going to spend $200 on a C-Fly Faith or an EX4 or the JGRC X12, whatever it is, spend $250 and buy a Hudson Xeno. You'll be a lot happier.
Gotcha.
So at this point, we're still pushing to say the Mavic Mini over this new Diva.
The Mavic Mini for sure. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, any day. That thing is underrated bird.
Diva does have DNG photos.
Yeah, hey, that's a good point. No jello required.
But what was interesting there is, thanks for bringing that. That was Eric Rose. Thank you for pointing that out to us. It was a drone we'd never heard of.
Yeah, you heard it first from Eric Rose.
Yeah.
Order it off Eric's link. We'll put it at the bottom.
Yeah.
Oh, who was saying that they're working on some issues? Okay. So are you guys going to buy the DJI FPV drone, or are you going to buy the Mavic 3 drone, or are you going to buy both of those drones? You guys let us know in the chat which one you're going to buy. How about you, Ron? What are you going to buy?
I'm going to wait for you to test that FPV drone out first before I pluck my money down.
How about you?
I just don't know enough about any of them to have an opinion, Al.
Yeah.
Al, I won't buy it sight unseen. I will have to see all the details, watch all the, the big channels reviews of it. I will not order just on the announcement. If that's enough of an answer for you.
But we all bought the Skydio 2 sight unseen.
Yes.
And we spent.
I do something about the features of it. So what we haven't heard from DJI yet is what the Mavic 3 even is, Al. What kind of features it's going to have, what it even is. Same thing with this potential FPV drone. We've heard a lot of rumors. We have some ideas about what it may be, but until we know what that is, I don't.
And Mark, let me clarify even more for Al. We had Kyle from Idaho. What's Kyle's last name?
Oh, Kyle. If you had to say,
we had
Kyle Warner.
We had Kyle, the bicycle champion from Idaho, and the guy who rode the motorcycle somewhere in the Southwest. They had that thing since for 3 months before it got released public. So we were watching a ton of videos out.
Yeah, I remember that.
Against the order.
Yeah, I remember those videos when we were first trying to figure out if we're going to buy those things. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wish every drone had 3 months of videos before it actually came out to study it, right?
Yeah. And we're the ones flying it first. That'd be even better. That's just a dream for us, right?
You
asked me that question now about getting the DJI FPV drone. We got Ethan Mitchell up on the screen here.
He's right on.
I bet you, like he says, the Anafi is a better camera, and he's right. I bet you Ethan be a candidate to get that new DJI FPV drone.
Yeah, that's fine. If we can get, why don't we all start making our drones, man? Who's a programmer who can write apps? Because the hardware is not that hard. It's just
not me. I can't do the hardware or the apps, Al. I just buy them and fly them.
Buy them and fly them. But I tell you what, we get Jet here. He might be able to help us out. And so, yeah, if we can get somebody ready, go to app, not the whole.
Hey, I want to clarify something that I think Ethan Mitchell is saying here about China restricted export of drones to the U.S. Ethan, I don't believe that is the export of drones. I believe that it's technology. So if they think that they have some kind of sensitive drone technology, they won't export it. I might have that wrong, but I don't think it means like we won't see any more DJI drones, etc. I don't believe that that's what that restriction means.
And look at Ethan's comment. Yeah, I'll probably pick one up, and that's in response to the DJI FPV drone. So we're going to watch. I'm going to watch all of Ethan's videos before I lay down my $1,000.
Yeah, exactly.
So, hey, listen, guys, we've gone an hour and a half here, so we're going to kind of wrap things up for tonight. And before I forget, next Monday is Labor Day here in the U.S. and it's a whatever holiday, everybody's off. So Mark and I are taking the night off too. We're going to enjoy time with barbecuing and all that good stuff we do in America. Playing volleyball in the backyard and all that. So we're going to be taking a week off, but we will probably drop a pre-recorded video in here in case anybody's already their holiday's over and they're kind of winding down. They want to watch something drone related. We're going to throw something in this feed pre-recorded, and then we'll be back the following Monday. I don't have the calendar because I don't know all the dates, but we will be back in 2 weeks. And I hope Al will come back again when he actually gets the Skydio 2 back and he gets a little airtime with it. And he's assured that all the bugs have been worked out in that drone. And of course, Mark said when we do come back, we will have plenty of DJI OM 4 test footage and experiences to go through with you. But I want to I'll throw it to Al first if he has any final comments or anything he wants to promote here, upcoming videos or events. Al, take it away.
Thank you, Ron. Yeah, I mean, my focus lately has been on flying drones that are under $400 and comparing them. That's been kind of my push because I kind of, was on this Skydio 2 kick and comparing it and trying to, show people that this thing is not just an adventure drone. So I'm kind of pushing it back. I'm going back to the Xeno Pro and doing reviews where it's filters, what kind of filters you can get and what kind of videos you can get out of it with, halfway decent filters. They're like $30, I think, for 4. So that's going to be my focus. And of course, the only other drones in that range in the DJI product line is the Mini, right? And then the Xeno 2 and the Femi. So those are the ones that would fit.
Al, don't forget the Diva.
Oh, yeah, the Diva. My goodness. Yeah. Diva, if you're listening, you need to send one to each one of these guys right here that are on the screen, right? You send one to Ron, send one to Marcus, and you send one to Al, and we'll give you
and we'll do a whole live show about the Diva, good or bad. We'll be honest, and we'll if it's great, we'll say it. If it's not so great, we'll say it. But we'll do a show, and we'll all put videos out, and we'll make you millions of dollars, Diva.
So China, if you're listening, Xiaomi, send one to each one of us, and you say you're fixing the Jello. We'll let you know, right? So, and focus, guys, and then the world drone world community. Wait, let me get this straight here before I mess the whole thing up, right? The world drone community is the big thing that we're pushing.
Folks, I'll try to find the group on Facebook, and I will post it in the DroneNation Facebook group, the link in the DroneNation Facebook group, so all you can find this.
All right. I appreciate that so much. So that is it for me. And then I put up a new website called Duranify.live that just kind of centralizes kind of a jump point for all the social media that I have. So you can just go to Duranify.live, and from there you can jump to the YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook from there. So that way it just kind of consolidates everything into one location. Still haven't got my inventory from China. I've been waiting 2 months, and I still haven't got my FEMI 2020. So it is just sad that it takes this long, right? And they blame it on COVID-19, but I'm not sure about that. So anyway, that is it for me. Thanks again, Ron and Marcus.
Absolutely. So, so all this talk about the Skydio, like I said earlier, I charged up some Skydio batteries, so I'm not sure where I'm going to fly it, but I'm going to find some place to fly that puppy tomorrow. And then I'm going to be working on that edit I put together a video of all my trials and tribulations with the Hubsan Xeno 2. So, that's probably the next video that you'll see on my channel. But most of all, everybody, just get out there and fly drones and have fun. Ron?
Thank you, Marcus. Jet Martin and Ethan Mitchell are reminding us not to forget the Anafi. So, yeah.
Totally agree.
It may be, no longer in production, but long live the Anafi. It's a great drone. And if you look hard enough, you can find the same price range that Alex talked about, his $400 drones, and it could do camera. It could do a lot better than any of those other $400 drones can. I know people will knock it on its range or whatever, but it does a lot of things a lot better than any of the drones in that range. But I want to thank everybody for being in the chat tonight. I'm sorry I didn't get to run down verbally all names. I tried to highlight most of the names on the big screen here, but I need to do a better job of verbally saying all the names, but I do try to highlight everybody. I do want a special shout out to Sean Oz for contributing a lot of good information on the Skydio 2 tonight. And again, folks, I will try to coordinate with Sean and get him on this show before his spin down event in Colorado at the end of September. I was going to say the end of this month, but it's still an hour and a half away here from being September. But the end of September, we will try to get him on if schedule allows. And I think spin up starts on the 12th. And I wanted to get Kelly on, but it's actually too late because we won't be on next week. And then spin up will already been over by the time we do the next show. But anybody, I know it's all online this year. I don't know all the details or have any links, but I'm sure it won't be hard to just Google search spin up and get all the details. So I want to wish everybody a good evening, a good week, and a good holiday next Monday on Labor Day, which is celebrated in the U.S. I hope everybody stays safe out there from the virus and all the other stuff that's going on out there, maybe in some areas more than others. So we will see you in the next one.